When I saw this yesterday, I was like, going through my head.
Yeah, we can all tell that's what went through your head during this take. Tell whatever entity that was to give you your brain back. Okay, so as I'm sure you all know, there's been a ton of speculation recently surrounding LeBron James and his future with the Lakers. There have been many analysts speculating where LeBron could possibly be traded and what kind of package teams could be willing to offer up for a 40 going on 41-year-old superstar who seems closer to retirement than another playoff series victory. And the vast majority of these hypothetical trade proposals are just very unrealistic and outlandish, but none of them as silly as what we're about to hear from Indiana fanboy Jason Whitlock.
What he just said is there's a possibility of LeBron James getting traded. He is trade bait. He's an expiring contract. And when I saw this yesterday, I was like, going through my head, where could LeBron James land?
Don't say it. Don't say Indiana.
And when I thought about where could LeBron James land, then I went, where would Nike like for LeBron James to land?
Oh yeah, that's the question we should be worried about because Nike, the biggest sneaker company on the globe, is going to drastically be altered based on where LeBron plays next year.
This won't be purely or maybe at all a LeBron James decision. It's about what's best for Nike. And so all the speculation early on, that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's from Cleveland. He's had success with Cleveland. Dan Gilbert and the Cavaliers, they're close to a championship team. They had this marvelous regular season. They got all this young talent. You just plug LeBron James and Bronny James into Cleveland, and it all makes sense.
Yeah, it actually does. It makes total sense for LeBron to jump ship to a competitive team in a weak conference in his hometown if him and Adam Silver can find a way to do some shifty maneuvering and make it happen.
But not to me. And I'm not sure if it makes sense to Nike.
Okay, let's get this clear, everyone. Nike wouldn't like for LeBron to leave LA to return back home to Cleveland. I'm sure Nike couldn't do any business off of that storyline, but no worries, Jason's got a much better alternative.
What makes more sense for Nike, which hasn't been able to find its next Michael Jordan. What makes more sense for Nike, which has found its next Michael Jordan.
Huh? I'm so confused. Nike hasn't found their next Michael Jordan, but they did find their next Michael Jordan?
For Nike, which hasn't been able to find its next Michael Jordan. For Nike, which has found its next Michael Jordan.
I don't think this segment was very well thought out or prepped for. Did someone slip something extra in Jason's health beverage this day?
But it's not a he, it's a her, it's Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the biggest asset that Nike has.
Caitlin Clark is the biggest asset Nike has? Ever heard of Air Jordans?
Caitlin Clark is the person that Nike chose, hey, we need to get this next brand of Kobe shoes moving and selling. Let's use Caitlin Clark. Not to promote Caitlin Clark shoes, but to promote Kobe Bryant shoes, and it worked. Those shoes sold out almost instantaneously. It was a test of Caitlin Market's marketability and ability to sell shoes.
That was not a test. Nike already knows the Caitlin Clark lineup will sell like wildfire. And you're contradicting yourself because didn't you just say days ago that Kobe Bryant has a large group of worshipers who idolize him? But now you're saying he needed Caitlin Clark to sell his shoe line? So which is it, Jason?
Nike and their brand have a problem in middle America that Caitlin Clark is fixing. Where would Nike like for LeBron James to land? I think in Indiana. You send him to Indiana. One of the greats of all time ends up in the ultimate basketball city and state. This is a 2-year strategy. This is a 2-year story. Next year is about, hey, can we make some magic and maybe win the East? And then in year 2, when Halliburton is back, now that's when you really have a chance for a championship.
This is the worst LeBron take I've heard in ages, at least since Nick Wright's newest podcast episode. So let me get this straight. LeBron, who will be 41 next year, his strategy is to play the long game. His goal for 2026 will be just to make the finals, even though he doesn't think he'll win the finals. Just making it alone and adding another finals loss to his resume is okay. But then in 2027, when Tyrese Halliburton returns from his Achilles injury, that is when 42-year-old LeBron James will pounce on the rest of the league and win the championship. Never mind the fact that we have no idea how Halliburton will look in 2027, and best case scenario would be returning to form after 2 years, if ever. Most players are never the same after an Achilles injury, but LeBron is going to go to Indiana assuming that Halliburton will be back to 100% after 1 year, and assuming that he will even feel like playing in 2027, which none of us, including LeBron, have any idea of at this point. Time is not on LeBron's side, so no, he's not going to gamble the remainder of his playing career on the health of an unpredictable Achilles injury. But if Indiana plays their cards right, they may be able to get Bronny James in 2027.
Pacers have a very deep roster. Would they obviously have to give up some pieces to LA to get LeBron James? He's trade bait. You got to trade something to get LeBron James. Oh! Pascal Siakam, is he 31 years old?
Jason, if LeBron wanted to go to Indiana so he could have a shot at playing with Halliburton and winning the 2027 championship, then wouldn't it make more sense to just wait a year and sign with them next summer as a free agent? That way Indy doesn't even have to send Siakam to LA, and LeBron would be able to see how Halliburton's recovery has progressed. It makes no sense for LeBron to waive his no-trade clause to go to Indiana with no Siakam or Halliburton.
Is Pascal Siakam a perfect complementary player to Luka Doncic, more so than LeBron James? Is Pascal Siakam a win-now player for Luka Doncic and the Lakers? The Lakers are always in win-now mode.
Of course the Lakers would swap LeBron for Siakam, but Indy wouldn't want that deal, and no way in hell LeBron would waive his no-trade clause to go out to Indiana. This is just delusional, wishful thinking from an Indiana fan.
I don't know. Someone else is going to have to tell me salary cap implications and what you got to pay LeBron.
Why did you research that before doing this segment? As I said, this was not thought out or prepped for.
But what I am telling you, if Nike wants it to happen, it can happen.
The only one who wants LeBron to go to Indiana is you, not Nike. Their message to LeBron about going to Indiana would be, just don't do it.
And if Nike sees upside in getting LeBron James into a narrative where he's in Indiana, the home, the mecca, ground zero of basketball. And Caitlin Clark is there. And we got this whole Midwest, Middle America revival of LeBron's brand and Nike's brand. It's already going on with Caitlin Clark right there in Indiana. I know your initial, oh, that's crazy. LeBron James wouldn't go to Indiana.
Why is he using that sarcastic, gruff tone to convey basic common sense? As if it's unreasonable to point out that superstars don't want to go to Indiana. Riddle me this, Jason. What NBA superstars have ever intentionally gone to Indiana? We've had many stars leave Indiana, traded to Indiana, drafted by Indiana, but what sought-after free agents ever said, I really want to go sign with Indiana? What stars have demanded a trade to Indiana? But according to Jason here, only grumpy old men say silly things like, LeBron James wouldn't go to Indiana.
LeBron James wouldn't go to Indiana.
As if that's not far-fetched.
Played in Miami. He's playing now in LA. Cleveland was his hometown. There's nothing to do in Indiana. LeBron James, if he's going anywhere, he'll go to the Knicks.
Yes, the Knicks would be on a very short list of teams LeBron may be willing to waive his non-trade clause for. Could you imagine the media frenzy that would get stirred up if LeBron went to that market and helped that franchise try to win its first championship in over 50 years? Do you think Nike may possibly be able to sell any LeBron James New York Knicks merch? Spike Lee and LeBron James? Do you think the Nike execs would be like, damn it, LeBron went to New York. We needed him in Indiana.
And play for Mike Brown again? I don't think so.
Do you think he really picks what team he wants to go to based on the coach? LeBron doesn't care what coach is there because he doesn't listen to the coach anyway.
If I'm LeBron James and I want to win a championship, I want to get with Rick Carlisle.
I agree, Carlisle is a great coach, but LeBron has never seemed interested in being coached. Therefore, playing under a top-tier coach like Rick Carlisle wouldn't be a draw for him.
I certainly want to, and I know the Knicks are in the East as well, but I want to move out of the West. It's crazy in the West.
Yes, Jason, we know that. That's why so many people have suggested Cleveland or New York would be an ideal landing spot. By you trying to build your case for Indiana, you're actually strengthening the cases for New York and Cleveland.
The best player in basketball is in the West, Nikola Jokic. The best team in basketball is in the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the best newly reconstructed team is in the West, in the Houston Rockets. I want to go East.
So now you're telling us LeBron should go to Indiana over New York or Cleveland in order to avoid the West. Yeah, don't go to the Knicks or you may have to face OKC, Denver, or Houston in the first round of the playoffs.
Pair myself with the best coach. Pair myself with the best story.
Yes, and what do you think would make for a better story? A, winning a championship with the Knicks, or B, going back home to Cleveland and winning a championship back where it all started to close out his career, or C, going to Indiana. Yeah, I think going to Indiana makes a much more compelling story. Much better barn market in Indiana than New York.
And present myself as I'm LeBron James. And just think it through, gentlemen. I'm passing the basketball torch to Caitlin Clark. Think of that story.
Okay, this must have just been a dream Whitlock had the previous night, woke up, rushed to the studio first thing in the morning and churned out one of the goofiest segments of his journalistic career. First off, Caitlin Clark doesn't need LeBron to pass the torch to her. Secondly, if she did, it wouldn't require LeBron to be in Indiana to do so. LeBron has no ties to Indiana. And even if hypothetically LeBron did play for the Pacers for a year or two, he still doesn't represent Indiana. He represents Ohio. He represents Akron. LeBron going back to Cleveland is the story that Nike, the NBA, and the media would like to see the most. If LeBron were to lead the Lakers, the Cavs would make the most sense.
Think of how LeBron wants to position himself post-NBA career.
Not in Indiana.